What's up, everybody? Welcome to the September monthly meetup of the Reinvestors. It's been a hot minute, I was just sharing, since we've been on here since June. We took July completely off, and August we did an in-person live event where we had a huge barbecue, lots of fun, had about 50 people come out and chat and hang out and talk real estate, and it was an absolute riot. We raised about $500 for Kids Sport Victoria, which is always something that's of importance to us. That's basically the whole reason why we do anything in life, is to raise money for Kids Sport Victoria, as I'm sure you'll see in this call. And so that was really cool for us to be able to raise money for Kids Sport, hang out with a bunch of investors. And then we normally do these on the third Tuesday of the month, but because Steve and I have been away and doing a lot of different stuff, we pushed it one extra week just so we could have an extra week to prepare for it and get ready. So I think we're prepared enough to start tonight and get rolling. I see our guests here, so I don't want to do too much. Basically, tonight's agenda, going to give you a little welcome, who we are, why real estate investing, a quick little thing on that, a few little things about a win, and then we'll jump into the Smith Maneuver, and we'll be finished before 7:30. If you ever attend one of our meetups, you know we never go late. We always finish on time, something we're very happy about, being punctual. So welcome, everybody. Turn your cameras on, please, if you can. It's so much nicer to see your faces. As presenters, it's so much more rewarding being able to see the laughs and the smiles of people and actually have some sort of connection virtually. So it's huge for us. Also, if you are interested in chatting with more people, you can change your name. So you can change it to whatever you want. So if you want to put, hey, I'm looking for a JV partner in Victoria, BC. If you've got a cool deal, you can say, hey, I've got a development deal. DM me. You can do a bunch of stuff. You can private chat in Zoom. Incredible features. So something that you can do, or if you have a win or something like that, put in your name. It just allows people to have a reason to connect to you or reach out to you. And so highly recommend you do that, and turn your cameras on so that we can all see you. Our Facebook group is over 1,500 people now. So if you're not on there, go hop on there. There's lots of conversations, lots of chat. Lots of posts, lots of information inside there. It's just a support network for real estate investors. We do lots of training and interviews and things like that in there. Who are the investors? A lot of you have probably seen this slide for 5 years straight now. Those of you that don't know us, because we do have a lot of new people in here, we're on a mission to financially educate 1 million people and inspire them to invest in real estate so they can start living a more fulfilled life. And we do that through some of our accomplishments here. We do that through our educational services. We've been doing this meetup for over 5 years now, which is absolutely incredible. Now we've got an online community of 1,500 real estate investors. We run various different types of workshops and mentorships. And most recently, our mastermind has been on the forefront for us, which has been absolutely totally cool, and have helped quite a few people. And then on the investment side, we've transacted about $20 million now, raised about $15 million in capital. With quite a few investors, and we've done everything from single family homes, Airbnbs, multifamily, and development. So a little bit about who we are, if this is your first time seeing us, and why we're presenting and why we stand up here and try and grow this community, is it's helped us so much and helped a lot of people come through. Whoa, didn't want to skip this slide. This is our mission, go big to give big, inspiring others to go bigger with their dreams and goals so they can give bigger with their profits. If you've spent any time with Steve and I, you know that giving back is the sole purpose for why we created a business, and wanting to expand that and grow that to as many people as we can. So basically, we want to build a business that can generate as much revenue as possible so that we can give it back to charities or organizations. Instead of going out and finding donations, our businesses just fund them. So very cool concept. If you're interested in learning more about this kind of stuff, hit us up. But we are huge supporters of Kids Sport Victoria. As you heard at the beginning of this call, we did $500 for them at a barbecue that we did. And we just recently sponsored the golf tournament, where they had their biggest raise ever at their golf tournament, which was really cool. So they are absolutely crushing it. Our next meetup is always the third Tuesday of the month, except for this month and except the month before. And it is going to be October 19th. So put it in your calendars, October 19th, 6 o'clock. You'll get about 600 emails between now and then from Luma and us telling you when it is. So you don't need to actually put in your calendars. We'll remind you enough times that you'll be on the call. And I think Steve's going to share about a quick win that we had this month.
Oh, yeah, we did. Want to hit that next one and we can go kaboom. We just did one of our biggest capital raises ever for our biggest project ever, which was called the Sterling. You probably saw some communications around it. It's a 6-story condo in Esquimalt, a block off of the ocean. We took possession of the couple of lots over September and October. First, we get the last lot, and we'll be building what you see behind that text. And a really cool piece about Sterling is that we actually partnered up with a tech platform that does crowdfunding called Addy. And Addy, it's their mission, a small plug. It's Addy's mission to make real estate investing eligible for everybody. So people can invest $1 or more. You've probably seen through our previous projects that you had to be accredited or exempt. With Addy, they make that, kind of limitless in a sense. So you can invest it anywhere from $1 to $1,500. And so it was really cool for this particular project. We worked with almost 1,000 investors on this project. Now, 946 of those were small little pieces, but just a really cool accomplishment because we've watched Addy grow and we've been partners or supporters of them since day one over the last 4 years. So just big win to the team. Shout out to Jay for all your support, Randy for your support too, and to all of our investors who have jumped into this project. Really excited to get going in 3 days. And then we had to say, we had a bit of a wait list on it. So this is actually going to be our last deal for a while. We've got this one which is called Uplands. It's basically a replica of the Sterling project. It's 6 units. It's 5 minutes from uptown. It's a dead end street. It's got this beautiful kind of treed back courtyard. Really excited about this project because of all of our developments. If I was going to move into one of them, this would be the one. I said that about Sterling, but this one's just a little bit more higher echelon maybe. But anyways, if you have some questions, I'll drop a comment in the chat here, and we'll be excited to chat with you about this particular project that is going to deliver some pretty exciting returns and excited to get going on November 1st. Oh, and it's actually Smith Maneuver allowed as well. That's why I wanted to include this.
Nice. That's the whole reason we put it in here, was because it's eligible for the Smith Maneuver if you wanted to pull some financing out. So there's our man there. So the Smith Maneuver in real estate investing, very cool way to connect. We've been connecting with Robinson Smith for a long time. I'll share that story in a little bit, but people are probably wondering what is the Smith Maneuver, and I'm sure most people have heard of it before, but how do you leverage the equity in your home to gain tax write-offs, pay down your mortgage quicker, and grow your wealth? How does that even make sense? I ask that question every single time we do this presentation, every single time I talk to Robinson. But basically, homeowners can deduct the interest paid on their home equity line of credit on their personal tax returns. The reason this is tax deductible is because the income tax rules stipulate that interest paid on money borrowed to purchase income producing investments can be deducted from your tax. Pretty simple. You'll get a huge thing into it tonight. I'm kind of just preloading you guys a little bit with some information here so you can kind of understand a little bit as we bring Robinson in. This is what I picture when I see Robinson Smith teaching about the Smith Maneuver. Everybody gets a different deduction. You get a deduction, you get a deduction. So I thought this was kind of funny when I put this together, that it's just how I envision Robinson Smith every time we talk about this, of just giving away tax deductions for everyone. So I understand the concept, but how do I buy real estate with my HELOC to trigger the deductions? So you need to start looking at real estate as an income producing investment. And there's a few different ways that you can do that. You can do that passively or actively. Passively, you can do none of the work and just invest. You can do private lending with people. You can do development projects, like Steve was just sharing there, JV partnerships, mortgages, a lot of various different ways that you can invest passively into real estate that makes it tax deductible for you. Or you can do it actively if you want to be on it yourself. If you want to flip a home, buying an income property, doing multi-unit buildings. There's lots of different ways to do it as an active investor. So using the Smith Maneuver inside real estate can be done in so many different levels on so many different variables. And so I just wanted to share with you guys, it's not a one-trick pony. There's a lot of different ways to do it. Honestly, the best way to learn about your options is to reach out and talk to people who are doing the Smith Maneuver and talking to the SMCPs, which I'm sure you'll hear Robinson drop a lot of tonight. That just means the Smith Maneuver certified professionals. people that understand what they're doing. And I would like to take 1 second and spotlight Jay. Is she gonna do this for me? If you guys don't know Jay, this is our lovely team member, Jay. She helps us with everything to do with the reinvestors, but recently just started learning about the Smith maneuver and implementing it. And I just wanted you to share, Jay, quickly, how did you start implementing the Smith maneuver and what did it look like for you?
Yeah, so when I started working with you guys, actually, which was close to 6 months ago, I was given a book because I heard about the Smith maneuver thing, and I was like, what on earth is this magical sounding thing that I can do? So I got a book, I read, I don't know, 15 pages of it, and I was like, this sounds amazing, and I just got so excited that I started doing stuff, so I don't recommend that. I emailed Robinson, and he connected me. He wrote me back like right away and just through the website, and he connected me with Megan Becker, who is on this call, and she's a financial planner, and she essentially just kind of took it away for me and said it like I understand the basics of it, but she essentially does, I'm like, hey, I'm interested in this investment. She's like, great, do this, put this money here, move it around. So
cool. Thanks for sharing that, Jay. The reason why I wanted Jay to share that, and she was reluctant to come on and share too much, so I appreciate you being willing to share what you did. The reason why I want to share that is, as you hear this presentation tonight, some of it might just completely fly over your head and not make sense at all. That's why we're so impressed by Robinson and what he's been able to create with his team, that if it doesn't make sense to you, just get around people that are doing it. If you talk to Jay, she'll share with you that she doesn't know a ton about the Smith maneuver, but she just got around the right people that are helping her make the right choices and doing the right moves. That's what tonight's all about, is understanding a little bit about what the Smith maneuver is capable of, seeing what you can do and trying to understand a little bit of it. But really, it's just meant to explore your mind so that you can start reaching out to the right people, start having conversations and growing that awareness. And with that, I wanted to introduce you to Robinson Smith and his SMCP team here in Victoria, with the team that we use here in Victoria. Megan, who's going to be able to answer some questions on the call, and Keaton as well. But we met Robinson Smith probably about 5 years ago. He was doing a presentation, got connected to him, and really started just understanding what he was doing, and have been a big believer in his since day one and what he's been able to create and do. And we're very fortunate that he's a big part of our reinvestors community, has supported a lot of people inside of it, very active inside of our Facebook group, and always willing to offer up his services to be here and support our community. So I'm very excited to welcome Robinson Smith to the dance floor, and we can't clap here to welcome people in. So what we do is we wave our hands like this. So if you can all just give a little love to Robinson Smith and his team for coming in tonight.
Well, thank you for that, Randy. A fantastic introduction. Yeah, it was a long time ago that we met, you and Steve and myself, and I've done a few of these presentations. I'm still waiting to be paid for the first one I did a few years ago. But I'm sure the check's in the mail, Randy.
Oh yeah, it's coming. It must have got lost in COVID, for sure.
Well, first off, I know I saw Megan on the call. I don't know if I've seen Keaton, but anyway.
I saw him come in.
I'm here.
Oh, did he? Oh, hello. Yeah, so Megan and Keaton are both Smith Maneuver certified professionals, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But just to get going here, I always like to, beyond welcoming everybody to such an event, say congratulations to participating in these types of events. It's not common for Canadians to take control of their personal finances, and you folks are obviously doing that. You're in the minority, but good on you. So the Smith Maneuver, it's a financial strategy that was developed by my father, Fraser Smith, back in the mid 80s. And he put his private clients into it for about 15 years before he retired to write his book. And his book is Is Your Mortgage Tax Deductible by Fraser Smith. That came out in 2002. And then he came back into advising in 05 and I joined him in 06. So I was an investment advisor for a dozen years before I sold my practice so that I could really get out, stand on my soapbox with my megaphone, get out there to let Canadian homeowners across the country know about the strategy, at least become aware of the strategy, because it's not easy out there. And if there's something that can help, ideally we know about it and have the opportunity to look into it. So after I sold my advisory in 2018, I wrote my own version of the strategy. It looks a lot like my dad's book, but it's much better than my dad's book. And now I just spend a lot of time speaking at events like this, personal finance groups, real estate investment groups, Globe and Mail interview came out about a month ago, Financial Post, all that stuff. So that makes me very proud of what my father pioneered and what I'm carrying on in bringing word to Canadian homeowners about this strategy. So let's get into it. I think many of you will have heard about it and have a good idea about what it's all about. But I always like to start off with what are the issues we Canadians face, and uncertainty. There's a lot of uncertainty out there. There's job insecurity. We've got economic insecurity. We've got government spending uncertainty. Well, no, actually, there's a lot of certainty about government spending. It's going up. And same with your taxes. Lots of pension insecurity. We've got defined benefit pensions moving to defined contribution at the expense of the employee to the benefit of the corporation. And not too long ago, Manitoba just changed their rules that if employees are going to commute their pensions, they're going to get about half the value. So there's all these changes that are continually occurring, a lot of insecurity out there. But what is holding us back when we, try to increase our wealth, when we try to get better off? Well, we've got inflation, increasing cost of life, 4% recently, over 4%. We've got increasing cost of expenses and increasing number of expenses. We have kids, braces, summer camp, tuition, and all those sorts of things. We got insufficient salary and wage increases. We got high taxation fighting against us. We pay more in tax in Canada than we do on food, clothing, and shelter combined. And if you know Maslow's hierarchy of needs, food, clothing, and shelter are the basic necessities for simple survival. Well, we unload, half of our income and then have the rest to take care of those three necessities. And of course, what's holding us back increasing our wealth? If we own a home, we got an expensive mortgage. Even at low rates, it takes a big cut of our paycheck, right? So there's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of challenges, but we have to take action. But what happens when we do actually take action? We seek out a financial professional. We say, yeah, here's my situation. I want to prepare for my retirement. I want to get better off financially. Well, what's the typical advice? Okay, invest more. Max out your registered contributions, prepay your mortgage, reduce your consumer debt. And the common thread in all of this advice that we typically get as Canadians is that all of these strategies require more money from your pocket. But for many Canadians, there is no more money or very little, right? All these strategies require us to deteriorate our standard of living because our cash now more of our cash has to go to, these types of strategies. But you're going to learn something pretty neat here, folks. I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully, yeah, looks like I can. All right, we're going to get into it here. Randy, how's that looking? You see it?
Looks wonderful.
Well, thank you. Okay, so we're talking about the Smith Maneuver. I want you to forget about real estate investing for a moment. I know that's what you folks do or are interested in doing, but we're first going to talk about your personal residence, your mortgage on the house in which you live. That mortgage, that very thing that you got so that you could buy your house and raise your family in peace and serenity, is also the very thing that threatens your peace and serenity. Why? Because it's so expensive. And this is the math that Canadians, the vast majority of Canadians, don't do. They don't want to do it. It's scary. Well, what does a mortgage really cost you? $400,000 at 4.5%, 25-year amortization. And if you're at the 38% marginal tax rate, what do you have to earn before you can finally have all of that $400,000 paid back? Over $1 million. That's what you have to earn. You got to pay back that 400 grand, of course. You got to pay interest on that 400 grand. Plus, you're making these P&I payments with after-tax dollars. You got to earn over $1 million. Now, we Canadians typically have two very pressing financial goals here. We want our expensive mortgage gone, rightly so, but we also want to prepare for our retirement. We want to put money away. We don't want to have to work forever. But the decision on which of these two important goals we attack first is made for us, not by us. And that is because if I choose not to invest on a monthly basis for my future, absolutely nobody cares. No one's going to say a darn thing to me. But if I don't make my mortgage payment each month, somebody does care, right? They're going to come knock on my door. So what we do is we apply the sequential approach here. Typically, we decide we're going to focus on paying down that mortgage, paying out that mortgage, and then we're going to concentrate on saving for our retirement. We've got limited resources. But by doing that, by paying down our mortgage, we're necessarily not investing. We're missing out on compound growth. And compound growth, as you know, is a very, very powerful thing. So where does this lead, this sequential approach that most Canadians are taking? First, pay the mortgage, then start saving for retirement. Well, I'm sure most, if not all of you, know at least one person who is on the older side, living in a clear title house, and yet they have to live on a fixed income. They have to watch what they spend. This is because they took their money, they did what they thought was right, what everyone's telling them to do. Pay down your mortgage, be clear title on that house, have no mortgage by the time you hit retirement. Well, I'm focusing on doing that. I'm not putting any money away to retire for my retirement fund. And now I've got this fixed income I have to live on because I've got no savings. Or what else could happen? Be financially reliant on our children, live in their basement suite. Maybe we're forced to downsize. Maybe we're forced to sign up for a reverse mortgage, right? For 25, 35, 40 years, I work, I earn an income, and I use that income to make my mortgage payment. I'm working for the bank for 40 years. Finally, by the time I hit 65 years old, I've paid off that mortgage. I'm clear title. That's fantastic. Well, now I don't have the cash flow to support my retirement. And we're living longer these days, folks. So what do? I start selling the house back to the bank. What's another potential destiny? I love this slide, right? Working. Next time you're in Costco, Walmart, Burger King, McDonald's, have a look around and you'll see senior citizens working there. And they're not there because they want to be there. They're there because they have to be there, right? Nobody has our backs. Nobody's going to take care of us. We have to take care of ourselves. So how do we do that? Well, we do have the ability to reduce our tax bill, to eliminate costly expenses very quickly, and invest for our future as early and as often as possible, all without new funds from our own pocket. Now, I like to, when I'm talking at events such as this, talk about debt. I don't necessarily have to talk about it a whole lot with you folks. You are real estate investors or looking into it. You guys will, if you don't already, have a very good understanding of debt. But a lot of Canadians, they decide to measure their net worth by how little debt they have. And we can see if someone has no debt, I'm just going to put my little fancy laser pointer on here. Somebody has no debt, they paid off their mortgage, fantastic. Well, because they've spent their time paying out their mortgage, they haven't been able to invest. They got a $700,000 house, therefore $700,000 net worth. Well, who's better off? That person or the person who's still got that $700,000 house, but an investment portfolio of 740 grand offset by a $300,000 investment loan? This $300,000 investment loan is precisely what allowed this $740,000 investment portfolio to exist. So we can see that net worth should be the measure of our wealth, not the amount of debt we have. And why is debt having so important? Non-deductible debt destroys wealth. It is relatively expensive. It's taken on to acquire depreciating assets, cars, toys, motorcycles, boats. We're all guilty of it. I'm guilty of it. But we need to understand the differences between the types of debt. And the reason non-deductible debt is relatively expensive is because if I get my statement and it says 6% on that loan, that money I borrowed, that is precisely what I'm paying. That is the true cost of that loan. Plus, the asset I bought, that car, is depreciating in value on a daily basis. It just goes down and down and down. However, Tax deductible debt creates wealth, right? It's relatively inexpensive, and it's taken on to acquire appreciating assets. And it's inexpensive because that statement that says I'm paying 6%, well, for ease of math, if I'm at the 50% marginal tax rate, because it's tax deductible, the real cost of that is only 3%. Plus, I'm buying assets which are going to grow in value over time. And the wealthy understand the difference between these types of debt very, very well. It's one of the main reasons they're wealthy. This just came out in May. When I was an advisor to very high net worth clients who literally had millions to invest, they too also had debt, but it was used to increase their wealth, not to spend on more depreciating assets like cars, boats, and toys. Instead, they would use debt to leverage and purchase stock or investment properties, basically spending this debt on any appreciating asset that would give them a higher rate of return, and in most cases, a tax write-off from the interest on the borrowed funds. Now, the exception to this rule here between non-deductible and tax-deductible debt is your house. Why? Well, we can reasonably expect it to appreciate in value over time, but the mortgage on that debt is not tax-deductible. We do not get to deduct the interest on that mortgage like our American cousins do. But the Smith maneuver is going to solve this problem. So in order to do so, though, we need to use our equity. Unproductive equity equals negative return. Each month I make a mortgage payment. I pay down that mortgage balance by $1,000, let's say. I now increase my equity in that home by $1,000. But it's sitting there doing nothing for me. It's not earning anything. And if it's not earning anything, it's earning 0%. Now we got to factor in inflation. I'm earning a negative return on that unproductive equity. Your mortgage is one of your biggest investment opportunities. Invest your equity now rather than consume your equity in retirement. If I, for example, get a reverse mortgage when I hit 65 because I don't have cash flow, I haven't been putting money aside, I can start receiving monthly cash from the lender of the reverse mortgage, but I'm not investing it. I'm spending it. I'm spending it on my retirement. Meanwhile, I could have built up a nice investment portfolio, which would send me dividends, distributions that I could spend my retirement on. Now, the Smith maneuver cycle of benefits. The strategy is going to convert your 100% non-deductible mortgage to 100% tax-deductible debt. Each month, you generate valuable and increasing tax deductions. You're able to eliminate your expensive mortgage in record time. Each month, you're able to invest money you wouldn't otherwise have available. This all happens now, simultaneously, and it needs no extra cash from the homeowner on a monthly basis. How does it work? Well, each month you're going to make that regular monthly mortgage payment. You've got a mortgage already, right? You're making a mortgage payment. When you're doing the Smith maneuver, you're still going to make a mortgage payment. There's no change in your cash flow there. But you need the right type of mortgage, and we're going to talk about this. But the regular mortgage payment reduces the balance owing each month. Obviously, with a readvanced mortgage, readvanceable mortgage, the limit on the secured line of credit component of this mortgage increases dollar for dollar. So basically, when I pay down that non-deductible mortgage debt, the line of credit limit opens up by the same amount. And I can pull this out to invest. And I do this each month. Now, because I'm borrowing to invest on a monthly basis, I'm generating these tax deductions. The CRA at tax time, they receive my return, they notice I put down all these tax deductions. They say, oh, we took too much money from you over the course of the year, every 2 weeks off your paycheck. We need to send you money back. And this refund is money that otherwise you would not have received. You prepay your mortgage, you reborrow that amount to invest as well. So here's a typical mortgage, right? I got a down payment, I put that together. I scrimp and save. I steal coins from my father-in-law's coin jar, whatever I can do to get a down payment together. And then I go to the bank. Hey, I need $400,000 to buy my house. Sure, your credit looks good. You're employed, all that fun stuff. Here's your mortgage. All of this debt is not tax deductible. It's non-deductible mortgage debt. It's very expensive. But here's a representation of a readvanceable mortgage. Now, they're not all the same. There's a bunch of them out there. They're not all the same. They don't function the same, different structures, that sort of thing. But generally, this is how we can characterize a readvanceable mortgage. We've still got that $400,000 of non-deductible debt that we needed to buy the house, but there's a line of credit limit, a line of credit which is attached to it. And these two sides speak to each other so that when this goes down, this limit goes up. The bank is always willing to lend us the same amount that they loaned us day one, as soon as we got that mortgage, right? So, and why would that be? Well, they're very content to do so, have me continually owe them $400,000 because they got the house as security. That's very secure stuff, plus the down payment. So here's how it goes in operation. Let's say I got a $2,200 mortgage payment. $1,470 of that in this case is going to go to interest, non-deductible. It's gone. That's the price I pay for borrowing that $400,000 from the lender. But $730 of that does reduce principal. So I've reduced my mortgage balance by $730. This line of credit limit increases by $730, and I can get at that and I can pull it out to invest. Now, the use of this available credit is critical. If we borrow to consume, you cannot deduct the interest. If you borrow with a reasonable expectation of generating income, you can deduct the interest. And a lot of Canadians will have a readvanceable mortgage already. They may be set up for this strategy and not know it, but they don't know why they have a readvanceable. The mortgage broker or the bank's mortgage specialist, whoever it was, put them into this mortgage, maybe explained it and brushed over things, whatever. But they get the statement each month and they see they have, oh, my limit increased by $730. Well, that works out to a BMW 3 Series payment. Fantastic, right? So they pay down their non-deductible debt over here. They borrow it to consume on the other side, right? Wealth destruction. But if we borrow to invest with a reasonable expectation of generating income, we can deduct the interest. So that includes stocks, bonds, mutual funds, mix, REITs, investment real estate, your business, somebody else's business. The list goes on. Lots of things we can claim deductions on borrowed money when we use that to invest. So this is what we do on a monthly basis. We pay it down, we pull it out to invest, pay it down, pull it out to invest. And on we go until this mortgage conversion process is complete. And at this point, I have no more non-deductible debt. I have fully tax deductible debt over here, which leads to tax relief, significant tax relief. And these refunds I apply as a prepayment against my mortgage, which means I'm getting rid of this non-deductible mortgage debt faster, and faster is better when we're talking about getting rid of non-deductible debt. Monthly investment and annual tax refunds. Every month to do this process, convert this mortgage, I need to invest, right? So I'm investing on a monthly basis. I've also got the annual refunds that I'm able to pull back out and get invested. So I'm taking advantage of compound growth now. I'm not waiting 25 years until this mortgage is gone to start investing. I'm investing now. So what's it worth? Well, for the typical Canadian homeowner, what I just described is the plain Jane Smith maneuver. No bells and whistles, and it's worth several $100,000 over the course of a typical amortized mortgage, and approximately 3 years will come off the amortization of that mortgage debt. But there are accelerators: debt swap, cash flow diversion, drip, prime the pump, cash flow down. So let's look at the debt swap accelerator. So as I mentioned, Keaton Kirkwood is on this call. He's a Smith Manoeuvre certified professional mortgage broker. Keaton, at some point, you're going to want to make sure everyone's got your contact details, maybe put it in the chat or whatever the case may be. But you get in touch with Keaton. Hey, Keaton, I don't know if I have a readvanceable mortgage or not. He'll have a look. No, you don't. Let's get you into the right one. Or yes, you do. You just need to make some adjustments here and you're ready to go. But anyways, let's say Keaton gets you this new readvanceable mortgage. Let's say he gets me this new readvanceable mortgage. Well, I'm going to start doing the plain Jane Smith maneuver with my mortgage payment, pay it down, borrow it back. But I also have $10,000 of investments. I've had them for a while. They're in mutual funds, let's say. I can let them grow over time, or I can redeem the $10,000 in mutual funds for cash. Now, obviously, I want to look at taxation, but I can redeem this for cash, take that $10,000 and make a prepayment against that non-deductible debt. And when this goes down by 10 grand, the line of credit limit opens up by 10 grand. Boom, I pull it right back out and I buy the exact same mutual fund if I want that I sold 7 days earlier, 10 days earlier. This can be affected very quickly. Or maybe I buy a different mutual fund, or maybe I go into stocks, or maybe I invest in a MIC or a REIT or whatever the case may be. As long as I invest it when I pull it back out, the point is that I had $400,000 of non-deductible debt and $10,000 of investment on Monday. The next Monday, I've got $390 of non-deductible debt, $10,000 of tax deductible debt, which does good things for my tax bill, and I'm still invested. Now, this can also be done with cash. I get a $10,000 bonus from work. Congratulations, you showed up on time every day, did a good job. Here's 10 grand, have a good Christmas. Well, I now am faced with the age-old question, what do I do with this? Do I pay my mortgage down or do I invest? I Google this online and half the people in the ether are saying, pay down your mortgage. Half the people are saying invest it. Well, they're both right. You do both. You take that $10,000 of cash, you prepay your mortgage, you reborrow it, and then you invest it. It's going to do good things to the amortization of that bad debt and also the creation of good debt, those tax deductions. Cash flow diversion. Let's say the way I built up that $10,000 in mutual funds is because I'm a somewhat disciplined guy. Every month when my income comes in, I have instructed that investment company to come in and take $300 to buy that mutual fund. Each and every month, my income comes in, $300 goes out, and I live off the rest. Well, what could I do instead? After my income comes in, you guessed it, make a prepayment against my mortgage, above and beyond the regular mortgage payment I'm making anyways. Prepay by an extra $300. That $300 is made available, I pull it out, and then I get it invested. I'm not changing how much cash I'm out of pocket. I was doing this $300 before I was doing the Smith Mover. I'm still coming out of pocket that $300 after, but I'm making it work more than once. And this monthly prepayment by a consistent amount is extremely effective in getting rid of that non-deductible debt much faster. The drip accelerator. Let's go back to that $10,000 in mutual funds, right? Let's say they send off $300 in annual dividends. A lot of investors say, I'm in this for growth. I want this to grow over time. So don't send me that cash. Automatically buy me more units of that mutual fund or more shares of that stock, whatever it is. And that's great. But if I'm set up with the Smith Maneuver and the right type of mortgage product, what can I do? I can say, you know what? I do want those dividends in cash. Send them to me in cash, and I can take those dividends and I can prepay my mortgage, again, above and beyond the regular mortgage payment, prepay, reborrow it, and then buy the mutual fund units or the shares of the stock. I'm still investing it, still, received that dividend, gotten it invested, but I'm first running it through my mortgage. And the taxation does not differ whether I reinvest my dividends automatically or whether I accept them in cash. Prime the pump. So I told you we'd get back to investment real estate. So, Keaton, I want to do the Smith Maneuver. I don't think I have a readvanceable mortgage. All right, Keaton takes a look and says, you know what? You don't. We're going to have to get you one. And my house appraises at $500,000. A readvanceable lender will lend up to 80% loan to value, meaning if my house is worth $500,000, the most they'll lend me is $400,000. And it turns out that's exactly the amount I need to pay out the mortgage that I already have, which doesn't work for this strategy. So I have borrowed the full amount that the lender is willing to lend me. But what if my house appraises at $600,000? Well, 80% loan to value is $480,000. So I still need $400,000 to pay out my current lender, but they're willing to lend me $480,000. So I have on this line of credit side, I have immediately available equity of $80,000. Now I can pull all of it. I can pull some of it. I don't have to pull any of it. This is discussion I would have with my Smith Maneuver certified professional investment advisor. Megan Betker's on the call here, right? SMCP. She's located here in Victoria. So I have that discussion. Yeah, you know what? I want to pull some or all of it, but what do I do with it? I want to invest it. I don't want to consume it. I don't want to pull that out and buy a 3-year-old Corvette. I don't want to go on vacation. I want to utilize this facility over here, the line of credit, only for tax deductible purposes. So this 80 grand, what can I do? I can buy mutual funds, stocks, bonds. I can invest in a new business, start a new business, or I can invest in real estate. Now for the next slide, let's assume that I pulled this $80,000 and I put it as a down payment on a rental property, my very first rental property. I'm excited. This is great. I've never had a rental property before. I'm now an investor in real estate, and it's going to get fun here. Now, what I would probably do if I didn't know about this strategy is I've got my rental property, I got a renter, they send me $2,000 a month in rental receipts. It goes into my dedicated bank account. And in this case, we're talking cash flow neutral. Hopefully your properties aren't cash flow neutral, but 2,000 in, and then 2,000 goes out because I got to make the mortgage payment on that rental property. I've got other expenses on that, utilities and maintenance and all that stuff that comes with running this business. So at the beginning of the month, I get my rental receipts and out it goes to service the expenses of that rental property. Well, I'm sure you can guess what I have the opportunity to do here. Instead, once I receive that $2,000 in rental receipts, I take it and I make a prepayment against my own mortgage. This is the house in which I live. I can use that to prepay my own mortgage by $2,000. Therefore, this is going to increase by $2,000. I pull it out back into my rental property bank account, and then I service the expenses on that rental property, the mortgage, utilities, maintenance, etc. So money in, money out. But first, I'm prepaying my expensive non-deductible debt and I'm replacing it with fully tax-deductible debt. Why is it fully tax-deductible debt on the line of credit side? Because I'm borrowing with the reasonable expectation of generating income. And there's the income I'm generating. So I can deduct the interest on that. And if I'm prepaying my mortgage by $2,000 a month, this is where we see amortizations go from 25 years down to 9 years, 6 or 7 years, something like that. This is hugely powerful in getting rid of that non-deductible debt very, very quickly. So I've talked a couple times and said, you know, this doesn't require any additional cash from the homeowner's pocket. And you're thinking there, and rightly so, well, hold on, Smith. Before I'm doing the Smith maneuver, I got a mortgage and I got to make a mortgage payment. After I do the Smith maneuver, I still got a mortgage. I still got to make a mortgage payment, but now I have an increasing line of credit balance. Yes, it's fully tax deductible and I'm doing good things with it, investing and all that good stuff. But if I have an increasing balance on this second facility now, if no new cash is coming from my pockets to service the interest on that on a monthly basis, where is it coming from? And the answer will astound and amaze you folks. It's the magic of the increasing efficiency of the regular mortgage payment. So here we got a little schedule. This is a $400,000 mortgage. The very first month, I make my very first mortgage payment to $2,214 in this case. From that $2,214, the first thing that happens is the lender is going to take his interest, $1,486, which $2,214 minus $1,486, if my math is correct, equals $728. So that is what's available to reduce the principal on my mortgage debt. So because I paid it down on one side, I can borrow it back on the other, and I do so, and I get it invested. Very first month. Second month, I'm still making that $2,214 payment. It's a constant payment. It doesn't change. But the amount that goes to interest decreases a little bit. It's less than it was the previous month. And if that's smaller, this is bigger. So 730 goes down. I can access that 730 and get it invested. Now, what happens here is I got 730 in my checking account. The first thing that's going to happen is the mortgage lender is going to come in. They're going to say, hey, we want $2 because you borrowed $728 a month before. That's costing you $2. I say, take it. They take it. 730 minus 2, 728. I get that invested. Next month, I can access 733. $5 goes to interest because I'm paying interest on 2 months borrowing, leaving 728 to invest. The next month, 736, $8 to interest, 728 to invest. So I can invest a relatively constant amount on a monthly basis, service the increasing interest expense on that line of credit, and all of it is coming from that regular mortgage payment that I'm making anyways, doing the strategy or not. So I've got here a quick little video on the Smithman calculator. I need to get rid of my laser pointer, I think. So it's a recording. Randy, if you don't hear my voiceover during the recording, just let me know. I think it should be okay though. Cool. Play.
Okay, due to time constraints, this is going to be a very, very fast demonstration of Smithman calculator. So once in, I'm going to give it a name, this scenario, and we're going to head to the calculator. We can enter various types of income. I'm going to throw in $150,000 of employment income. I've also got a rental property proprietorship, and it generates $36,000 in rental revenues per year. And it costs me $34,000 a year to service the expenses on that rental property. I'm also going to input that I have $30,000 of mutual funds invested. And I've also got a $10,000 emergency fund. And down here we can see my marginal tax rate is 45.8%. I'm going to go to the next sheet. I'm going to fill in my house value at $750,000. The mortgage balance on that is currently $450,000. The interest rate is 2.9%. The amortization defaults to 25 years. On the readvanceable line of credit side of things, I've got a prime rate of 2.45 and a premium of 0.5% for a total of 2.95%. Next, I'm going to go to the fund page where we start to see results. I can throw in whatever I project my investment to grow at on an annual basis. we'll leave it at 8%. This is saying the very first month's mortgage payment leaves me $769 to invest. I'm going to go ahead and invest that all. Here's where we start to see some results. Taxation improvement, total deductions over the amortization of the mortgage of $109,000, which lead to total in tax refunds of $50,000. No amortization improvement yet, we'll see that soon, but a net worth improvement of $388,000 already at this point. Now here I can adjust the amount that I accept from the lender. They're willing to lend a total of $600, but I can move that up or down and we can see the results change. I won't go into an explanation on this right now, but let's just say I only want to accept $550,000 from the lender. So we've seen a bit of improvement in the results. Here's where we'll see amortization improvement. If I apply my annual tax refunds as a monthly prepayment against that an annual prepayment against that mortgage, and also reborrow that to invest, we'll see amortization improvement and also net worth improvement here. 2.33 years saved off my non-deductible mortgage, net worth improvement up to $551. The debt swap accelerator, I've got $30,000 that I already inputted in mutual funds. I'm going to go ahead and debt swap that and watch the results here. The years saved and net worth improvement. There we go, 4.6 years saved, net worth improvement of $791,000. I'm not going to input any future lump sums. What I'm going to do is debt swap my emergency cash. I'm going to secure a line of credit, a personal line of credit that I'm only going to use for emergencies. Therefore, I can debt swap this cash. I can prepay my mortgage and then get it invested. And we're going to see further results here. Cash flow diversion. Let's say I have been investing $300 on a monthly basis. That's how I built up my $30,000 in mutual funds. So I'm going to go instead apply that as a prepayment each month and then reborrow it to invest. 5.42 and 869 goes to 8.42 and net worth improvement of $1.164 million. Cash flow dam accelerator. I previously entered my rental revenues and expenses, and that works out to $3,000 a month in revenues and expenses of $2,833. If I implement the cash flow dam accelerator, we're really going to want to watch this one here. Instead of saving 8.42 years off that mortgage at this point, I'm saving 18.25 years, which means my original 25-year amortized mortgage is going to be gone in 6.75 years. Dividend reinvestment plan accelerator, I won't go there at this moment. Prime the pump accelerator. Based on the numbers inputted, apart from that non-deductible mortgage debt when I refinance into a readvanceable mortgage, I've also got $100,000 of immediately available funds with which I can prime the pump. So I can withdraw some, all, or none of this if I wish, but if I do, I'm going to get this invested immediately. So if I pull $50,000 of this to prime the pump, then we'll watch the net worth improvement go from 1.3 to 1.7. Now I've saved 18.5 years off my mortgage. I've received total tax refunds over the course of the mortgage of $145,000. And again, instead of 25 years, that mortgage has gone in 6.5 years. So this net worth improvement, this is net worth improvement, meaning I've got an investment portfolio of $2.21 million offset by 100% tax deductible investment loan of $484,000, leaves a net improvement of $1.726 million. And the next screen here, that just shows the graph. The green line descending at 25 years to the x-axis is a 25-year amortization. This blue line hitting $0 is the reduced amortization of my mortgage. The red line over here is my investment portfolio. The yellow line is my total debt. And then I can view and print a report, which is going to summarize the results. It's also going to give me my instructions for the monthly process of the Smith Maneuver based on my numbers. So there you go, a quick demonstration of the Smith-Man calculator. I hope you enjoyed.
Okay, so back live. Just to recap here, each month you're able to invest money you wouldn't otherwise have available. You're generating valuable and increasing tax deductions. You're able to eliminate your expensive mortgage in record time. The benefits start now, occur simultaneously, and no new cash from you is required. So on our website is smithman.net. There it is at the top there. I've got the book available on the website. There's the Smithman calculator, which we just saw. There's also the Smith Maneuver homeowner course for people who want a little more information on it than just what the book can provide. And on the website, there's FAQs, there's freebies, there's a couple other different types of calculators I got, relatively simple ones that every website has. But go to smithman.net and have a look around. Now, we've also got the Smith Maneuver Certified Ambassador Program, and this is for non-financial professionals. I've had a lot of people come up to me and say, hey, I want to become a Smith Maneuver certified professional, but they're not a realtor or broker, investment advisor, etc. So I started this program. It's just for non-financial professionals to go through a course, learn the strategy, and then go out and approach their networks. Maybe they're in a group, investment group, or whatever the case may be. But the Smith Maneuver Certified Professional Accreditation Program is the important one here. This is where we're training up realtors, mortgage brokers, investment advisors, mortgage conveyancers, insurance agents, and accountants, basically all the types of financial professionals that a Canadian should surround themselves with anyways, whether they're doing the Smith Maneuver or not, specifically trained in the Smith Maneuver. And they know each other. Megan knows Keaton, right, on this call here, and they know the realtors, they know the accountants. So it's really nice to have a group of professionals that know each other, rather than are in their own independent silos. So it's really quite an effective system we've got built out here. If you're looking for a Smith Maneuver certified professional, on the website, there's a link, find or become a Smith Maneuver certified professional, and then we'll connect you with someone who's local. On this call, however, there's Megan, and there's on the investment side, and there's Keaton on the mortgage side. Now, I believe Keaton can do mortgages across Canada, but I think Megan, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong, you are licensed for BC only. If you're outside of BC and you're looking for a mortgage broker, Keaton's your man. If you're looking for an investment advisor and you're outside of BC, again, find or become a Smith Maneuver certified professional. We can connect you with someone, but please do your homework first. And that largely entails reading the book. And this isn't me trying to sell everybody on this call the book. You can go to the library and check it out. The libraries have the book. You can get it for free, but it's important to know what the strategy is all about, what it means. All these professionals are very busy people, and they make their living helping clients implement the strategy. So do as much homework as you can prior to being requested to connect with a Smith Maneuver certified professional. Lastly, this is from my dad, procrastination is the enemy of your financial success. Nothing truer. And that's what I got for you folks. Everybody still awake?
Ooh, I am so fascinated. It's everybody, if we can give Robinson some happy hands here is what we call them for delivering that amazing presentation. I'm sure some of you have seen it before, but it just amazes me every single time I see it. It's always just like, how is this not talked about more? There was a ton of questions that came in, so I don't know if you're able to answer a few questions if I throw them your way.
Yeah, you go for it.
I know you can only answer so much of them. One of them would be, and I'm just going to read them. You might have already answered them. It'd just be nice to re-answer them because they'll just be a direct question. But would a Scotiabank STEP product attach to your mortgage as an instrument for the Smith Maneuver?
Keaton Kirkwood, go.
The Scotia STEP product isn't attached to the mortgage. It's like an overall container. But yes, the Scotia STEP product works for this, but it has to be set up correctly. The Scotia STEP product can also not work for this if not set up correctly.
Great answer. Common question is, what banks do readvanceable mortgages, and especially for those that have a larger real estate portfolio?
Yeah, Keaton, before I let you make any comment on this that you may want to, I'd just like to stress here that firstly, pretty much all the major banks have their own type of readvanceable mortgage. The important thing here is getting the right one for you. And this is where Keaton comes into play in collaboration with someone like Megan on the investment side and the accounting side. It's important to get the right one for your personal situation. You may go to your bank, let's call it CIBC, and say, hey, do you have a readvanceable mortgage? Why, yes, we do. Why? I want to do the Smith Maneuver. You want to do the what? I want to do the Smith Maneuver. Oh, well, whatever that is, we do have a readvanceable mortgage. Here it is. Let's sign you up. Well, if you're not doing your homework, if you don't have someone looking out for you, you quite possibly could run into expenses that you weren't expecting just because of the way the mortgage functions, your ability to utilize some of the accelerators either now or in the future. What is your plan? Are you going to be in this house for another 3 or 4 years and then move? All these things factor in, and that's why it's so important to talk to a Smith Manoeuvre certified professional mortgage broker like Keaton, because he takes all of this into consideration, and he doesn't cost you anything. You don't pay him, the lender does. So use a broker. Keaton, anything from you?
I'll use this as a really quick example. Some lenders may have a lower rate, but there's a way using a certain feature that some lenders have for products that lets us cut the interest cost of implementing the Smith Maneuver by 50%, half. So having the right product and cutting your cost in half and then making it tax deductible versus having a lender that's slightly lower, I can tell you right now that the products that work the best will save you way more money than a lower interest rate and saving 0.15%.
This is not a time for loyalty when you're considering this. It's not a time for loyalty because your brother-in-law is a mortgage broker or your brother-in-law works at the bank in mortgages. This is just like anything, we're talking about your personal finances. This is a pretty big deal. So you want to talk to someone who can get it right. Megan, did you want to say anything on the mortgage side? Anything from your experience?
On the mortgage side?
Yeah.
I've seen a ton of people come through the door, and I know that there's a number of different products out there that work. I've seen a number of clients that Keaton and I have both dealt with Manulife and Scotia being the primary. Those products tend to be really, I don't know, the rates have been really great and they facilitate this maneuver really well. But as Keaton said, that the Scotia product can be set up incorrectly, and I've seen it occur a number of times. So it would be wise to speak with Keaton and then look at speaking with some of the other SMCP professionals to get it implemented.
Yeah. Thank you.
One of the other questions is, what if, and I know Keaton, you answered this in the chat, but what if the rental property is in a holdco? Will this work?
The rental property scenario, the cash flow dam that I just described there is for proprietorship. So if I own my rental property under my own name, or it's also a different type of proprietorship. Maybe I knit sweaters in the garage and sell them online. It's not a corporation, it's proprietorship. I can use those revenues, run them through my mortgage, and then pay my proprietorship expenses. When we're looking at investment property in a holdco, there are things you can do to facilitate the Smith Maneuver. It's above and beyond the discussion tonight. This is when you want to talk to a Smith Maneuver certified professional accountant.
That's a great answer. Worked good for me. Somebody wants to know what the Smith Maneuver certified ambassador program is. That available anytime, or do you just do intakes into it?
No, anytime. Just fire off an email to Rob Smith at smithman.net if there's any interest. I'll put that in the chat.
Very cool. One question that came up that I'm really interested to hear your response on is, are you concerned at all about politics changing the policies that will stop this ability from being used?
The answer is 99.9% no, not concerned. There is a possibility that the government could make changes. They have in the past made changes which affect mortgages, investing, taxation and deductibility and all that stuff. And sometimes there's an effect over here on the Smith Maneuver. But when it comes to what the Smith Maneuver is a debt conversion strategy. And as I said earlier, if I borrow to invest with the reasonable expectation of generating income, I can deduct the interest on that income. Now, if the CRA or the government, anyone else, came in and said, you know what, we're not going to allow you to deduct interest on money you borrowed to invest. Well, how long are they going to be in power? Because the wealthy have been borrowing to invest forever because they get tax deductions. Corporations, same thing. So that is highly unlikely that that would ever happen. And that is the fundamental principle here, which is allowing this debt conversion and all this good stuff, tax bill reduction, increased speed of amortization of that mortgage, investing on a monthly basis. If they change that, I don't think that government's going to be in power for very long. I think it's very unlikely. That being said, not in this presentation, but elsewhere, I've got an example where I do assume that the CRA comes in and says, hey, you're not allowed to deduct the interest. Okay, well, what does a Smith maneuver look without that tax deductibility? And the tax deductibility provides about 1/3 of the power. So fully 2/3 of the power of a typical scenario is generated via this strategy simply because I'm getting invested now rather than later.
I love that answer. And so many people think like, oh, I can't do the Smith maneuver because I don't have X product or X this or whatever. And the whole thing is about taking action on starting to get investing and using the changing your mindset around debt, I think is probably the best way to describe this. And I'll give a little plug here for my parents who literally know nothing about investing. They've followed my journey, but just over the past few years have been starting to do the work. I introduced them to Megan, and Megan has helped them completely turn their mortgage into a reinvestable mortgage through the help of a mortgage broker, and then now are doing the investments and working with Megan. And they actually understand what is happening with the Smith maneuver. They're setting themselves up for retirement. And the whole concept my parents talk about is we are stuck in this mindset that we have to pay all of our debt off. And they're still stuck in it, but they're trusting the process and they're trusting the SMCPs that they're working with to make sure that they're doing the right steps and are under the right things. And Robinson said something great earlier about this isn't the time to trust your brother's friend or whatever it is who's can get you a mortgage product or can do your investments for you. You have to work with the right people that are well adversed in what they're doing here, because there's so many changes. And that's what I'm assuming. If something changes in government, Robinson will be the first person to tell his SMCPs how to adjust, pivot, and change, and make sure that you're in the right guidelines and in the right movements and always staying updated and always getting the right stuff. Whereas other people out there might not be as quick or might not be up to date. So it doesn't matter which SMCP you work with, just find one that has worked with Robinson or knows about the processes, because the importance of it, that someone like my parents who honestly do not like debt are trusting the process with the people they're involved with to start doing this. And I know Megan's on the call here, but she has done wonders for just walking my parents through the process of how it's going to change their life forever and actually build them a retirement and get them substantially set up in a very short period of time, so they'll be able to retire at the age that they're at, which is absolutely incredible, which is why I love the Smith maneuver, because single-handedly is retiring my parents. So there's my plug for everything. And it just gets me so excited sharing that story, because it is very cool.
Yeah, settle down, Randy, will you?
There's a few questions here. I saw somebody ask, do you need to wait for your mortgage to come up for renewal before doing this?
No.
Yeah.
Someone like Keaton will do will run an analysis of, okay, I'm in a 5-year term, I got 2 years left. Here's the penalty if I break the mortgage to get into the right type of mortgage. What are the numbers? What do the numbers say? And they're either going to say, yes, it's worth it to break your mortgage, or no, you're going to want to wait that 2 years and come back to me at that point. But Keaton knows how to run the numbers. And it's not simply a matter of saying, okay, well, the penalty is this month, this much money, but I'm going to save that much money. It's not that simple, because you have to factor in even if breaking the mortgage was a little bit less and didn't make sense financially based on those numbers, you got to remember that if you don't break the mortgage, yes, you avoid that penalty, but now you're not going to be able to get invested every month for the next 2 years. You're missing out on the accrual of those deductions for the next 2 years. So there's all these little things, but this is what the SMCPs do. They run the numbers, see if it's worth it or not.
There's quite a few questions in here about what if I don't have a mortgage on my property? What do I do? How do I take advantage of this? How do I do it other than just putting a HELOC on my property? What are some of their options for people that might not have a mortgage but are loving this idea of leverage debt investing?
Yeah, again, if you're clear title to the house, you can go talk to Keaton, talk to Megan, sorry, Megan, but if you're outside of BC, we can connect you with other SMCPs. But basically, you've got the opportunity to refinance your home if you wish to access equity and get it invested. You're not converting debt anymore. That's not the Smith maneuver, because there's no debt to convert. But you do have the ability to access some of that equity through someone like Keaton, and then put it to work through someone like Megan.
Awesome. One of the great questions here was, so sounds like it's quite complicated. Should I double check and make sure I have a good accountant to do all the tax returns?
Here's the thing. There are a lot of accountants out there, and obviously I'm not speaking about this person's accountant particularly, but there are a lot of accountants out there who have been doing taxes for their clients for years and years and years, and they're very comfortable. They've got a big client base, and just like other types of professionals, all right, I'm going to do things the way I always have. And when people go to their tax professionals and say, hey, should I do this? It's not the accountant's job to say, yes, you should, or no, you shouldn't. It's, I don't know, if you do it, I'll try to do your taxes. You know, they're not those types of advice givers necessarily. And a lot of accountants haven't even heard of this strategy, even though it's been around since the mid 80s, almost 40 years. You know, it's the same for all professions. There are people who are willing to invest in themselves, both time and money, in order to learn something which can be of value to their clients. And there's others that aren't. But going to your own accountant, whoever you are and whoever that accountant is, you're either going to get, you know, the Smith Maneuver, I've heard about it, or I've done a lot of Smith Maneuver tax returns, or I have no idea what you're talking about, or no, I don't like it because you're maintaining your debt, even though it's good debt. And I don't think you should. I think you should be clear title. Well, after having that discussion with your accountant, you know, make the decision if you want to stay with them, and ask them if they're a Smith Maneuver certified professional accountant. Right? That's probably the first question you should ask. And if not, then move, or say, hey, why don't you go take the course? You know, and consider that.
Someone here says, I don't have an accountant yet. Do I need one to do this process?
No, you don't. Technically, I don't need a dentist to pull my molar. And I don't think I have to say much more about this. This is not a simple tax return. I'm employed, I got a 9 to 5, and I got this deduction, that deduction. I'm going to do my own taxes, send it in. You're adding a layer of complexity here, and you're dealing with the CRA. So spend the $300, $400, $500, whatever it is, to have your tax return professionally done. Because if you don't, it could end up costing you both in terms of time dealing with the CRA and money. Not only doing it wrong, but maybe not even doing it most effectively. You don't want to miss out on anything.
That's great. And I believe Keaton said something here, you know, many accountants advise you on what they know and are unwilling to say something that's beyond them. A good example is when you're going to incorporate for a real estate business. A lot of people tell you can't qualify for mortgages, or it could be bad, but it could actually be really beneficial for you depending on your portfolio to incorporate for your real estate business. Depends on who you talk to and what you do. So very good point that accountants, if they aren't 100% understanding of this, are probably not going to want to take it on because of the liability for it. So that's why it's very important, again, to work with SMCPs. And that's why I love what you've created with that program, because it makes people feel a lot more confident in themselves when they're doing that, which is great. I think that's, I saw Kevin ask a question there about the cost to get certified. I don't know if you share that publicly or if he should just email you.
Yeah, just email me, robsmith@smithman.net.
Yeah, reach out to him there. I think that's, for the most part, most of the questions. I was trying to keep up with most of them there. If you have any last second questions, drop them in. I'm just checking up all the other questions along here. That's all the questions I have. Steve, was there any questions that came across your plate that you wanted to clean up here?
Oh, dude, I feel like we could probably sit here and chat with you, Keaton and Megan, until tomorrow, and continue to ask questions and learn from you three absolute badasses.
Our bill from Rob is going to be way too big, so we're trying to get him off here as quick as possible.
We'll just attach that one with the one that's lost in the mail somewhere. No, I don't have any additional ones. I think that this has been extremely valuable for everybody who's attended, and you know, just really appreciate Megan, Robinson, and Keaton for joining us for the night and just sharing your wisdom and such a creative strategy that, again, it just kind of boggles my mind how this isn't talked about and discussed more. And happy to share that wisdom with everybody here.
I have one thing to add really quick, because this is a win that happened today with an SMCP accountant. We had a client that we were structuring some debt to purchase a residence, and we thought about 200,000 of it would be tax deductible. Client dealt with the accountant. The accountant figured out a way to maneuver an extra tax deductibility on another $450,000 of debt, basically eliminating about 40% of the cost of that debt. It's worth the money to work with a proper accountant. And I didn't know they could do this. I've requested the tax rules so I can dig into it. So there's layers and layers and layers of this stuff, guys. Use a proper accountant.
That's so true and so great. Megan, is there anything you wanted to add in before we head out? I know you're kind of busy, but still available.
I'm trying to stay muted so that you don't all hear my son in the background with all of the loud toys that have to come out right now. But no, if anyone has questions, realistically, just reaching out to Keaton or myself, we're happy to assist and see if it's a maneuver that's right for your financial situation and is going to assist you.
Fantastic. And Robinson, I'll let you close it out.
Yeah, I'll close it out. S. Galili, I think, any accountant you could recommend that can do both my personal and business taxes in investments. I live in Toronto. S. Galili, go to smithman.net, find or become a Smith Maneuver certified professional, and we can connect you.
Incredible. Awesome.
Okay,
well, thank you.
And lastly, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Keaton. Steve, you were great. Randy, you're pretty good. But thanks for inviting us all on this, and all the best, everybody. You know where to find us if you want to reach out.
Awesome. Everyone will give them some happy hands one last time. And as we just close out for the evening, we will say thank you so much again. Always a pleasure having the three of you come in and be a part of our group and support our community. You guys will all get sent out a review through Luma. It happens automatically from this. If you get a chance, give us a review. We love to see what you guys thought. Love to hear what you had to say about it. And it's really good for us. Just a reminder, our next meetup is October 19th. So again, you'll probably get a dozen emails between now and then from all the various different stuff about when it will be. It's actually not a dozen. It's literally like 2 emails. So don't panic. But you'll get some emails about when it'll come out for our next meetup. And again, head over to our Facebook community. Megan, Keaton, and Robinson are very active inside of that community. If you have any questions, they're happy to hop on, answer them, give feedback, and be in touch with. And if you need to get connected to any of those 3, you can send us an email anytime or reach out to us. We're more than happy. Oh, you updated that photo. Nice. Steve and I finally got new photos for the first time in about 5 years, where we definitely look a little bit more mature these days, which is good. So
we've passed kindergarten.
So that's incredible. So if you guys do have any questions about this, or you need any introductions to any service provider, we have a lot of connections in our network and are happy to do so. Feel free to send us an email, and we're more than happy to reach out to you guys and support you. So thank you so much, everyone, for hopping on, hanging out with us. We'll let you go 9 minutes early to go start prepping for your Smith Maneuver moves that you're going to be making. Thank you again, everyone. And the recording will be on YouTube if you want it in the next few days.